Alright, so I still have to stream in the upright camera angle. Why, I don't know, to tell you the truth. It's some kind of glitch in YouTube, but this is the first model train live stream in a while. On the outside track right now, we got a rare American Flyer S-Gauge 060 switcher. Let me take this phone out and give you guys, which is, I guess, like K4. I don't know why American Flyer called it the K5. And here comes the 060 switcher again. Those are pretty rare in S. Going to be moving it all before too long. It's sad, but it's what's got to be done. We got to move on from this place. The family's been here since 1972. It's going to be hard to leave, but we'll find somewhere better, bigger and better. We'll let the switcher do about 2 more laps, and then we'll switch that out with another locomotive, because I don't want to run that thing a whole awful lot. Right here's a pretty good little angle. Again, sorry I have to do this upright. It's the only way it'll let me stream. Why, I really don't know. Just a lost connection. I'm hoping that this is getting a good, clear signal. I don't think it is, though, knowing how my streams sometimes tend to go. Let that switcher do one last lap, and then we'll switch it out. Not pun intended. Careful with these, of course, but there it is. Old American Flyer 060 switcher. These are pretty rare in S-Gauge. They made a lot of ones in HO scale, though. I don't know if they're the rarest American Flyer, but they're pretty. Lavana Lee, hello. Good to see we got somebody joining the chat. All right. So this next one is a, I'll bring it over there. Careful with it. The tender and the locomotive were, of course, attached by a drawbar, so it wasn't hanging on wires there or anything. But this next one is very, very special to me. This is my K325 Hudson. The American Flyer S-Gauge K325s were only produced during 1951. And this one here was one of the last things my grandfather got for me. It was a Christmas gift. This is one of the last things he got for me back in 2015, about a month or two before he died. And paid almost around, I don't know, close to $200 if I can remember for this thing. and it is a beast. It's the biggest American Flyer locomotive I've got at the moment. I'd say it's probably a little bit at least heavier than my 322 Hudson, which is on the workbench right now undergoing repairs. It looks about the same as this, but slightly smaller than this one. And it will continue to be my largest American Flyer locomotive until one day I get my hands on a Northern or something, which is a big 484 locomotives. They're probably a good 5 inches longer than this one here, but around the same height. All right, we'll get these fired back up again. Move this somewhere where we can see all three. And I hope everybody can hear me, but I've got the O gauge table operational again. And I'm going to go ahead and run some O gauge stuff here in a bit too, I think. Using some very unique locomotives that I'm repairing for someone so he can sell them. I'll go ahead and show some of those off, I think. I stopped those all in decent areas where you guys can see them all. There we go. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to move over to O gauge now and show off something pretty unique here. I got a trolley that's kind of made in around the same time period as this one. And like I mentioned earlier, I got these from a guy who's going to be selling them. So I went ahead and fixed them up a bit. And this thing here is actually pretty uncommon. It's worth a pretty decent amount of money. It's nothing priceless or anything, but it was worth more than I expected originally. Now I got it running, and I'm still going to clean it up a little bit. There was a bunch of stuff. All these were broken off and stuff, so I had to reglue a lot of little pieces. But we'll go ahead and run this thing here. It's very neat. It's number 52. Says fire car on it. It's got some, direction changing bumpers on it. So say you have like one straight track, it comes to the end right there, and then start going that way and hit something else. I'll kind of explain it more in detail here. And it's got some little things that come out on the side. They're really interesting. I've never seen those until just recently when I received this one to fix up for someone. And I've been just kind of testing it out every now and then, making sure it's been running good. Just kind of putting it through some trials, making sure it's operating fine and everything's working right on it. So if I can get my transformer over there in just a second. Speaking of transformers, I got a big 175 watt transformer I'm rebuilding as well for someone to sell. And there's a few interesting freight cars that came with that lot. I'll go ahead and run this thing real quick though. Figure I might as well show it off somehow on the channel before it gets sold, because it will sell. Those things are not very common. They're not the rarest Lionel item out there, but they're not too common, I'll say that. And it's running pretty decently now, and I think that should sell for some decent money. Let's go and fire it up. A little slow to start, so it does take a little while to get it warmed up, but there's a lot of old model trains that are like that. Of course, this O-gauge layout is winter. Some of my snow has kind of gotten a little bit messed up over here, but go ahead and see if we can scoot this back just a bit. Not sponsored by that company down there, you guys, that I know you guys see on those stickers. Good local hobby store, but I just want to mention I'm not sponsored by them because I know how that sponsorship stuff is at YouTube. Takes a little bit to get this thing going though. Kind of assist it a little bit. Eventually it'll get warmed up and start moving pretty quick. So I think it still needs some fine tuning and some adjustment and cleaning, but other than that it should get going good. I think in just a couple more days. There it goes. Now it's getting warmed up. Let me give you guys an example of the direction changing here. Just like that. I hope my hand was in view there for that. And that's for like if you just have a straight track with two bumpers on the end, just so you can have something like going up and down on the same line. Likes to go fast that way. Once it gets warmed up, it really flies though, so you gotta watch it. Very unique, wacky little thing. Yeah, it'll get moving. I'm gonna slow it down a bit. Yeah, very responsive to the just slight changes in the transformer and the speed lever. So once it gets warmed up, it runs like a beast. So I'm sure when this is sold, it'll make somebody very happy. I'm gonna go put it back over some of the other stuff in the box over here, and show you guys another project I've been working on, O-gauge related. Another locomotive. This one's actually a trolley. I got it over here somewhere by the workbench. This one still needs quite a bit of fine tuning. It's not as close as the other one. And honestly, it's a lot of people might think, looking at first glance, that this is a very uncommon Lionel thing. It's not too uncommon, honestly. I mean, I didn't see one until recently, but it's not nearly as rare as the fire car. And it also changes direction with bumpers on the end, so you can have this on just a long, straight piece of track with bumpers on the end, just have it going back and forth. This one here is not as close to perfect as the other one is. On this side, obviously, looks pretty nice. It's missing the little power cables, the poles for the power lines up on the top. Like you're supposed to have it. On the other side here, unfortunately, the bulb in there got kind of hot and melted the windows a bit, so that's kind of unfortunate. But it does run decently, and once it gets cleaned up and I fine tune it a little bit better, it'll get going more properly how it should be. A little noisy too. It can use some grease. I already greased it a bit, but it does in fact run. And the plastic track kind of amplifies the noise. It's really not all that loud when you run it on the old conventional track. As you can see, it's I'm not going to run this one too long because it does definitely need some grease. The gears aren't grinding there or anything. It's just kind of just a lot of noise because there's no grease in between all the little gears and stuff. Because believe me, in these Lionel locomotives, there's a lot of little gears up in there, and I got to take it all apart and make sure I just put oil on them. They're definitely going to need some grease. If you guys can kind of tell, you can see there's some fresh oil right there. I put on that little motor pivot. Yes, that's actually a pivot in there. The motor's right above that. But it's definitely going to need to be taken apart, clean all the old grease off the gears, put new grease on. That'll quiet it down and make it run a lot quicker and more efficiently. And other than that, those are the two locomotives from that lot. And they both run to some extent. One, obviously, the fire car better than this. And I don't think I'm going to be putting a light back in that trolley since it melted it once. I don't want to risk doing that again, unless maybe I can relocate the light to somewhere more in the middle of the inside of the trolley. That way it's not up against the plastic and therefore not melting anything. But since we're over on the O-gauge table, I might as well run something else O-gauge related in. I'm kind of thinking about what I should run here. It would be really nice if I had this thing. Where is it at? It's probably in a box right now, but I got an old 1934 steam locomotive that was running at one point, but then it stopped running because of E-unit problems, and it's had all kinds of trouble, and I've tried to fix it myself, but it's just a little bit too out of my league, so I think I'm going to take it into somebody eventually and have for the professionals look it over and get it going again. But I do have a 1934 steam locomotive made by Lionel, and all the matching, 3 of the matching passenger cars that came with the original set too, which I could probably show here in just a little bit. Now I'm going to run something a little bit newer here. It's just one of those little simple Lionel 080 switcher locomotives. This came with the Menards freight set. Originally, my grandfather. There's another gift, old gift from my grandfather back when I was younger. This one here. First one of these live streams I've done in a while though, so I apologize if I'm just kind of jumping from topic to topic, if you will. Oh, that's right, that coupling's broken. Oh well. I think you have a coupling broken on that tree, okay. It's not broken on this one. Alright. Get this going in just a second. These freight cars are way older than the locomotive on this too. You guys can hear the whistle, it's kind of faint, but that one is equipped with a whistle on it. Then get a good little shot. Yeah, that's pretty nice right there. Not a very realistic speed, but it's kind of hard to do with some of these big locomotives sometimes. See if I can slow it down to a more realistic speed here. Yeah, that's a little more realistic. But the curves are way too tight on this layout to be going too slow. Those curves are just treacherous on those on these locomotives. Right there's a real big post-war Lionel locomotive. It's a 262, as you guys can see. Some kind of Pennsylvania Railroad locomotive. There those two are. So You know, I've already done layout train room tours. I got a video on it somewhere. You guys could probably find it somewhere. Nothing's too organized right now on the shelves, but and like there's some of my locomotives. Oh yeah, here's another real old one here. This one's from the 30s as well. It's a Marx Commodore Vanderbilt locomotive, and it's got the tender over there. Got that for $10 at a train show. Just the locomotive. I happened to already have the tender. Didn't realize it till later. And it does run. It's not really running right now, and it's probably the fastest locomotive in the room too. At 80 years old. Yeah. Well, no, it's going on 90 now. Actually, my oldest locomotive will be 80 this year, and here's 3 of the passenger cars for it. I don't have that locomotive out right now. It's in a box with some of its parts. It's been undergoing a major overhaul. It's been taking so long because I want to preserve all the original parts from it, and it's just got to be rebuilt. But those are the 3 passenger cars that go with my oldest locomotive from 1934. The oldest thing in the room, though, would probably be that passenger car right there, which I think is from around 1918, I think. It's well over 100 years old, I'm pretty sure, though, based on some research I've done and the couplings that are on it. Pretty sure that's over 100 years old, from pre-1920s even. So 1918, in between 1914 and 1918, from a lot of my research. And that caboose is pretty old there. It's not quite that old. That caboose is probably from about 1925-ish, I'd say. And those are just 2 of the pre-30s things that I got. And of course, a lot of real railroad artifacts up here. I got a insulator there from the 1890s, insulator there probably from the 30s. These were that there, and this Western Railroad Supply Company latch were both found on the old Columbus, Akron, and Cleveland track bed, which is only about a quarter mile from this house right now. That railroad's not there anymore for some dumb reason, but those are 2 artifacts me and my brother found over there. And then back here, that little red thing with the wheel on it is a model. That's an actual steam engine. And if you fill it with water and plug it in, it'll still boil water, but it's missing the piston off of the side, so it won't run. Oh, and my phone's on 5%, so I gotta either end the stream soon or plug it in. One of the 2. There's another 1930s era boxcar there, old wind-up helicopter, some random cars. You know, I got some, like, very cheap, that's really not worth much, freight car. And I got a few other things I'll probably wind up, like, selling some of it off. Nowhere near a lot. Like, most of the stuff I'm going to hang on to, but I'll probably wind up selling off some other just random stuff like that I got. And this is just kind of a little parts area right here. Those right there are 2 ON3 scale. Yes, you heard me right. ON3 scale. That's what these are called. Those are 2 passenger cars. What they do is they actually ride on HO scale track, but they're 4 S gauge over here. Not S gauge, O gauge. They're 4 running on the same layout as O gauge. What it's supposed to represent is like standard gauge and narrow gauge. Of course, this is sitting lower because the track on the O gauge is elevated, but realistically, it'd be about that tall, so not much shorter than it, you know, right about there. And I don't still have to get a locomotive for that. Just happen to have those 2 freight cars there. Really nice if you're going to do like a big layout with like O gauge down on the bottom and have an elevated area with like mountains, and then you do the ON3 to represent the narrow gauge and the mountains, basically. But and here's my first layout. HO scale, did it when I was young, but I'm not going to go too into detail because I've already done whole videos of layout train room tours, I should say. But I got to either plug this phone in or end the stream here. It's already half hour long, so I suppose I'll probably just go ahead and end it here. Just a quick little stream. I'm not going to do anything too crazy until I got like maybe my brother here this weekend, so he can kind of help me out running some stuff and keeping an eye on everything, and then we'll get all of these all of the layouts fired up this weekend at some point. But for now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and end this stream here. and then go charge my phone before it dies, because if it does die, the power button's shot, and I'm uh, I'm stuck with a non-working phone then. And then here's a quick look at the N scale layout, which is, of course, is not having any progress done on it at the moment because we're going to be moving soon. And I just want to keep these as simple and as movable as possible for now. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. Wish I could have ran a little bit more, but it's getting kind of late and this stream's over half hour long and my phone's about dead. So see you in the next stream. Should be live again this weekend, and we'll have everything going at once then.